non-fiction topics, there's a lot of research involved, and if there is a humor column, then you write the dry, humorless draft first, and then you read it again to make it like, because see, nobody wants to read about everything in a serious way. Sometimes people tell me, "Oh, it's so easy for you. Just write something funny for me," and I'm like, that's the most tough thing to write, humor. I kind of have this old woman voice and I can't do anything about it. I have always had this very weird kind of approach to writing, and as I age, I feel more confident airing it.
Hello and welcome to the InkShots community on Thinkly, where we discuss creative writing, reading, and books. I'm happy to welcome our guest this evening, Shinie Antony. She's a renowned writer and editor. She's the founder of the Bangalore Literature Festival and the festival director of the Bangalore Poetry Festival. Welcome, Shinie. Shinie's books include Eden Abandoned, The Story of Lilith, Barefoot and Pregnant, Can't, and The Girl Who Couldn't Love. Her story, A Dog's Death, won the Commonwealth Short Story Asia Prize in 2002. Her novella, Can't, was longlisted for the Crossword Book Award this year. Welcome to InkShots, Shinie.
Thank you, Dipti. Thank you so much.
Shinie, thanks for joining us today. And what better way to start our session today than to talk about the Bangalore Literature Festival? It's scheduled for, this weekend. And which is a celebration actually of writing, reading, and everything books, right? So this is your 13th edition. This is the 13th edition that's going to happen. And what's new this year? What can we expect to see different? And how has the journey been for you over these years?
Okay, there are so many questions packed into that, Deepti. I would say that the new thing here is the content, because every year the speaker list changes, the subjects that we are passionate about, because we know that from the new books that come out. So the topics keep changing, and also the combinations of putting the speakers in a panel uh, that changes. So I would say every year it is difficult. If somebody told us do the same festival second year in a row, that would not be possible, because even if you put the same people, they are not the same people who were there the last year. They've got new thoughts, new books, new words. So yeah, so I would say the content, because it keeps changing. And the thing is, for me, the most important or intense thing about the festival is that it's in this city, that it's in Bangalore, and that every year that factor really stands out, because Bangalore puts the B into BLF.
True. Also, I think this year you have some Nobel Prize winners as well.
Yes, yes, yes. I don't know how it happened that we have not just one but two. We have Abhijit Banerjee and we have Venki Ramakrishnan. We also have Kiran Desai, who's a Booker International Booker Prize winner. No, Man Booker Prize winner. And yeah, we do have two Nobel Prize winners this year.
So, every year I was there for the first beginnings of BLF. I've
So
seen.
you've been a darling. You've been like a fabulous supporter of BLF, Deepti.
My pleasure, and it's my pleasure entirely. And I've seen how the crowds have swelled every year. So are people reading more? Are people writing more? Are people buying books more? Or are people just love to come to a lit fest? As somebody, as a festival organizer, what are the trends that you are witnessing in terms of books and readers?
I would say that over the years, Bangalore has become the number one uh, bookseller. It has the highest sales of books in India. And this was like a shocking surprise for me also. I know, Dipti, you and I are quote unquote outsiders to the city. We are not Kannadigas, we are not Bangaloreans really. But I think that the audience did surprise me a lot. I've lived in Bombay, I've lived in Delhi, I've lived in Cochin, I've lived in Lakshadweep. And I feel that the quality of reading and very authentic listening, and I know this because our entire team, people come and talk to us throughout the festival, and they say, we like this writer, bring this writer next. And that whole informality comes because of very high level of reading. And as you said, we've been writing for a long time, because I think there was a time in India when everyone was writing a book, but nobody was really reading a book. I mean, I'd never heard of people saying, this is what I'm reading, but they were always saying, I'm writing a book. But now you find that people are, I don't know, maybe I'm of a particular vintage, and I'm thinking that now I find that people are reading a lot, and especially Bangalore. There's no pretense. They're not faking it when they throw new titles at you or old author names at you. They have actually done their homework. They come to the festival even for a writer who's not, I would say, quote unquote, very famous or a glam or celeb writer, but they've done their research. And they tell me, this particular book by this writer is not available in the bookshop. Why not? And I say, that book is out of print. It's not our fault. It's not our bookshop's fault. The book is just not available. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you've started something called where authors, new writers can pitch their books to publishers, which is an interesting thing because there are so many more people writing, as you said, and you need that interaction between publishers and new
And
authors.
so many of these books have been picked up by the top publishers.
Yeah.
At least five, we've seen at least five success stories. And we have people like, mega literary agents like Kanishk Gupta, who says, I'm coming and I'm coming for the Lit Mart. So that has been, when we started off, maybe we were not very, see, anything we start off, we are not very confident, right? So the first year of the festival, 2012, I remember we all kept thinking, will there be a next edition, or will this be like a flash in the pan festival? Then the second year happened. And the second year also, the group, we would meet and we would say, would there be a third year? So yeah, so even with Screenlit, with Litmart, both of these, which are writing platforms, pitching platforms for writers, I think the success has not been because we started the platform. The success has been because such quality writers are coming into that, and they're showing so much enthusiasm. The whole year round, all of us team members get these mails. I've written a book. I've only reached half of it. Can I just come in? And then we are like, the only criterion is you should be a first-time writer. And so the success definitely is, again, I'm coming back to the city.
So how many publishers are coming this year for the Litmart?
Quite a few. We have Udayan Mukherjee from Harper. We have Mansi Subramaniam, Karthik Venkatesh, and Dipti Talwar from Penguin. We have Arpapol Chaudhary, Rashmi Menon, again from Harper. Renuka Chatterjee from Speaking Tiger, and Tiki Sarkar from Juggernaut was all set to come, but because of various reasons, last minute they couldn't, come. But most of all, the coup for me, because I am at heart a Rupa Books girl, because I started with Rupa. We have Mr. R.K. Mehra coming in,
Okay,
who's
nice.
the all in all of Rupa, and he has written his own autobiography called Out of Print, the Rupa story. Never out of print, the Rupa story.
Oh, nice. And children's festival, also children's book festival with the author, that again is a complete, like a separate thing, and it's a huge success. I see so much of crowd in that section always. A little bit.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I would like to act like we did it in a very, very self-sacrificing, generous spirit. We actually did it because we realized a lot of adults couldn't come because they said, where do we leave our children? And then we said, okay, then we have like children's session, and then we have adult session, so that they know the kids are kept in a very, very safe place and they can enjoy this place, so that it becomes like a family affair. It becomes like a group affair. And I think to bring in the soul of picnics. Bangalore has, like your colleague was telling me, it has great weather. We can wear what we want all year round. And it's almost like an air-conditioned skyline. So we just thought that we should just make it like a picnic event.
Let's hope it doesn't rain.
Yeah. But if it rains, Deepti. But I'm telling you, when it rains, as far as audiences are concerned, it pours.
Correct. That's true. So, Shiny, coming to your work as a writer, Your work is characterized by its rich exploration of identity, women's empowerment, mythology, relationships, and cultural commentary. You engage with complex social issues with great wit and humor. I mean, that is always there in your writing, while giving voice to diverse experiences, particularly those of women negotiating their path through this world. What draws you to these subjects?
So first of all, I think that you should take a little bit of the blame of why I write the way I write, because when I was new in Bangalore, I used to write a lot for Deccan Herald, and you were the editor, I think, of the books page then. Uh,
Sunday edits, yes.
yeah. And I remember once very doubtfully, I told you, you asked me to write a particular thing. And I said, Dipti, I will write about it, but it won't be like a straight piece. It'll be like a very, very twisted kind of a piece. And you said, I like that about your writings. I don't want you to give me a straight piece. And that went to my head. I felt very encouraged. I'll never forget when you told me that on the phone. And we hadn't even met at that time. I met you much later. So I feel that I have always had this very weird kind of approach to writing, and as I age, I feel more confident airing it. I was never very confident as a younger person to write the way I wanted to write. I felt like, oh my God, there is a template, there's a way of writing, and I should write like that. But thankfully, as I age, I feel yes, I am getting more confident. But one thing about me, even when I was really, really young, maybe because my grandmother was my roommate for the longest time, till she passed away, I kind of have this old woman voice, and I can't do anything about it. When I write like so. Even when I was 20, I would write like a 50 or a 60-year-old woman, and I've always found that the age factor very interesting when I'm writing, especially if you're a woman, because I found that women of a certain age are more honest. They have nothing left to lose. They don't care about their reputation. They don't care about whether they look all right to the marriage proposal brigade or whatever. Um, they're very scandalous, and they look so bland. They look so, they're thinking about making gold rotis or dal or some tadka for dal or something. But if you talk to them, they say things about like, that time I really wanted to kill my husband, and I went down the path of thinking how. So I really feel that it liberates you. Aging liberates you. Aging is a superpower. And those women have lived who've towed the line throughout their younger years, and now I have decided I have nothing to lose and I'm going to tell my truth. I think those women are my heroines.
Mhm. I've read The Girl Who Couldn't Love, and it's like a racy kind of read, and I just finished it in 2 days. And you feel as if it can become episode, like a show on Netflix, and
It was shortlisted for Mummy.
okay.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah,
nice. And it was scandalous, like right after some,
yes.
how did Shiny think of this without giving away the plot? Like, so what was the process there? How did you think about it when you were writing? Did that just the plot line just come to you?
I think the plot
Before you
line just
started,
pretty much. Huh?
before you started writing, did it come to you, or
Yes,
it was the plot?
unfortunately, yes, it did. Because I feel there are two types of writing when it comes to fiction. I feel I write some books like Kant, the novella Kant has been written very consciously by me. That let me take these two characters, let me put them both together. And they're two extremes. One is young, one is old, one is male, one is female, one is asexual, one is gay, one is rich, one is poor. And one is a storyteller and one is a poet. So I felt, let me take these two extreme personalities and put them together and let me see. And it was hard work every step of the way because they wouldn't sometimes move unless I said move, you know. So, but some books like The Girl Who Couldn't Love and Lilith, Eden Abandoned, I feel they kind of just poured out of me. It was like somebody was telling me, it read like automatic writing.
Mhm.
And I have to tell you that it just was written in one flow. And that's why I write short stories mostly and then novellas because they are shorter and I write them like in one sitting.
Great. As a new writer, everybody has this question like, how do I write? Like, how do I start? So, is it a day with you? Is it a daily habit, or you wait for an idea to germinate? You said in one sitting you finish it, and or you wait for that till you get that subject. You wait for motivation. How does that work for you?
So I would say with non-fiction topics, there's a lot of research involved, and if there is a humor column, then you write the dry, humorless draft first, and then you read it again to make it like because see nobody wants to read about everything in a serious way. So I feel, and that's the most tragic thing and the most difficult thing to write this humor stuff. And sometimes people tell me, "Oh, it's so easy for you. Just write something funny for me," and I'm like, so that's the most tough thing to write, humor. So I would say there are different types of writing. I mean, it's like you're a mother and you have 10 children, you're a different type of mother to all 10 children. So if I'm writing a novel, even if I'm trying to write two novellas side by side, they're both different. And how do I, as a writer, keep from getting bored? So I would write like maybe a romantic scene, maybe someone flirting with someone in one book, and on the other one, I would like to go into what if this character is a ghost, so that it gives me also some kind of a open scenario. And as you know, when we write for a newspaper, if you're writing a column, then they tell you. Sometimes they give you the topic, so you have to keep the topic at the center of your mind and circle it and see how best in your personal capacity, how best would you enter that, topic. So, yeah, so I think all writing is just not the same. Some writing requires a little more work, uh, and some will just flow out of you because those are things that you've been trying to say. It's on the tip of your tongue. Maybe the vocabulary you don't get it right in the first writing, but it's there inside you.
Yeah. You also take, short story workshops and sessions, right, with people. What is it that, three top things or five top things you feel that somebody attempting a short story should keep in mind? What do you tell your class?
So I tell my class a lot of stuff, Dipti.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
to enumerate five might be difficult. But I think there are two or three things at least I would say. Don't bother because a lot of people say that I have starting trouble. Some people say I don't know how to end it, and some people don't know what to put in the middle. They're like, I've got a fantastic first chapter. I know exactly how it ends. I don't know what my characters should be doing in the middle. So my advice would be don't bother to go into a linear writing. Don't bother to write it like a conventional beginning, middle, and an ending because that might not, writing may not happen like that. So, what you should do is that one particular scene or dialogue or character that had occurred to you, why are you writing that? Because something has struck you, right? Write that down first and foremost. And let's see whether it can spread to the east, west, south, or north. Let's see where it goes. But write that thing that you're most interested in writing, bang on, right then. And we all have a very vague idea, an abstract idea of what we are going to do, what we are going to write. Because there's a reason we are coming to the page, we are coming to the screen. We all have that. But the thing is, you set out to write a story, but then the story writes you. So give that story enough time to breathe and enough time to go the way it wants to go. Because our conscious mind and our subconscious mind will both fight. So we will be trying to control because we are human. We like to control everything. So we want to control what's on the page also. Like we introduce someone and we've given him or her some characteristics and then we want to stick to that. But it's not like that in real life, right? People surprise you all the time. Sometimes if someone has called you and they've not switched off the phone, you've said bye, you can still hear them talk and they'll be saying something about you that they would never say that to your face. So people think very very differently from the way they present themselves to you. So as a writer you are coping with both. the character is completely 3D. So yeah, so I think you let go of the character so that character comes back and hits you on the ass.
Also, when you have an idea and when you put it to paper, it sort of turns into something else also very often. It is not what was there in your head.
And that's the time, Dipti, and that's the drug that makes junkies out of us for writing, because sometimes we are struggling with something to write, and then suddenly it's like your fingers have a life of their own and you're typing away, and you're like, where did it come from? I don't remember thinking this. I don't remember plotting this. And I think that really you hit upon the real reason why we actually keep coming back to running. So it can be painful in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in every way writing is painful. But then there is this fun moment. It's like the fizz of soda hitting your nostrils, and you're like, you're back.
But when you are equally a proficient editor as you are a writer,
I don't know if I'm proficient.
you are, you know,
It's not.
well, you are. And, how do you, when you, as a writer, when you're writing, when you said you let go, how do you silence that editor and vice versa?
Dipti, I hate writing. As a writer, my stories take me kicking and screaming to the page. But as an editor, I love editing. I just absolutely love editing because the burden of the story is not
Yes,
on me.
exactly.
Somebody has already done something. I'm entering that world, and all I have to do is tell them when that world feels false.
Correct.
Does it feel false when I'm opening the front door? Does it feel false when I walk into the backyard? What is looking wrong? And that is something very, very interesting, right? And the fact that somebody gives you the honor of being the first reader and telling them and trusting you there. I mean, and that trust is so sacred. That trust is so touching. And then you don't want to be just, sounding all intellectual and saying all kinds of things just to impress that writer. No, sometimes, in fact, I keep my interference minimal because I feel that the writer has the right to go about it in their own way. So unless something jumps up and looks to me wrong, I don't have an opinion about that. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's very small things. Like I remember in one of Chetan Bhagat's books, uh, he had written that she's wearing, so earlier she dresses up and she's wearing gray trousers, and then she goes and picks up a charcoal gray sofa set. And I said, let one of that be a different color because we just read gray, and then so sometimes it's as tiny and as minor as that, but really, Dipti, I live for that. I really live for that. I feel very, very privileged when I read short stories like that. I don't know if you've read this book by Rudrakshi Bhattacharjee, which won the Author Award debut fiction. She's no more, and she died at the age of 16. It's a Harper book. It's called This Is How It Took Place. It's a beautiful collection of short stories, which her mother and I pieced together from everything on her computer and the school assignments and everything. And the book was put out. And, that was such a sacred, such a sacred job to do, to edit those short stories and not touch them too much because the author is not around for any I can't like discuss any changes with the author, so to keep it minimal. So yeah, so editing really wins when it's up against writing.
But for you personally, does your editor's voice rule over your writing?
So I would say I give it, and this I tell you asking me what do I suggest when people write. This would be the third thing, is that when you're writing, do not bring the critic with you. Do not bring the editor with you. Just write because editing is fun when you have lots to wade through and cut out, right? It's like you're cutting this part out, and I'm never attached to anything. I'm all right cutting out half my stuff. In fact, my editors have a tough time telling me, no, no, more paragraphs are needed here, more paragraphs are needed here. Otherwise, I'm very happy keeping it, cutting things out and keeping it really, really brief. So, yeah, so I think you need to come in as a writer first and foremost and just vomit everything out there, whatever you have inside, and don't think, is this important to the story? Do not think like that, because when you're writing down something like that, you may write something else.
Yeah.
You may just write something else. In fact, I must tell you that trying to write rather a social satire right now. And I was thinking, don't I have a brief? Like mentally, I've given myself a brief. Don't I have this brief? But the fun part is that when I go out of that brief, then I hit another nerve. I come across something that I didn't even know I had any opinions about. So I feel the writer has to come first when you're writing, and then bring in the critic or the reviewer or the editor second. So how I do that is I keep an actual physical distance, like I write something today and I'll edit it maybe a month later. Or
Oh,
I'll
wow.
edit it like after a huge series of events have taken place in my life and I've mentally completely come out of that. And then when I read it, I will change it, obviously, because I don't even remember writing. So I think that editing part is fun only if you have lots to go through. You have that lousy verbose first draft, then it's fun.
Mhm. So my next question was, what are you working at present? You were saying that you're working on something besides that. Any book that's
So I have, apart from Eden, Abandoned and Can't, it both, by the way, had fantastic editors since we were talking about editors. Renuka Chatterjee, Speaking Tiger, edited Can't so beautifully, I can't tell you, because that manuscript had been with her for quite some time. So I had sent her like at least 5 or 6 revised versions. And Renuka actually went through every version and went back to some version when she felt like it, retained the second version or third. And I was like, I could never do that, you know. And Abhivyakti Singh from Hachette, who did Eden Abandoned, where he did it, fabulous, fabulous girl. I mean, I have no words. And she's so young, but she absolutely understood the middle-aged angst of my heroine. Okay. But I wanted to bring up 2 of the anthologies that I've done. One is Om, and it's called X Objects. I've done this with A.T. Boyle, who's a British writer, and she's going to be there at BLF. It's about the objects that people who are no longer with us have left behind, and what our relationship with the object is now, and how the relationship with the person who's no longer here change. And Hell Hath No Fury is about revengeful women with knives in their hands. And both these books are somehow turned out to be international collections. There are a lot of, there are writers from abroad in both of this.
nice? Great. So, Shiny, before we take up some audience questions, here's a short, like kind of rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
So, if you could meet any character, either from your book or somebody else's book, who would it be and why?
It would be the heroine of Chemmin. Okay, I think her name is Ponni. I'm not sure. Ponniamma.
Huh?
Okay, I'm not sure about the name, but I would like to meet her because she was very very cool. I mean, considering the era that she's set in, considering her milieu, considering the fact that she was a married woman. I mean, and the songs, those Temin songs are so beautifully indicative of what she's going through when she is faced with her former lover, though she's married to a guy suitable for her. Yeah, I would like to meet her.
Your favorite first lines or line?
I think everybody likes this. So the line from Outsider that my mother died today, or my mother died, or yesterday, I don't remember, or something as casual as that. Yeah,
What's the one book you wish you had written?
I read this book recently, Days at Morisaki Bookshop, and it's so simple and set in a bookshop, and and nicely touching the very, very human concerns of loneliness, heartbreak, and then the entire triumph of the self. To know that, you will be betrayed by everyone all the time, and you're the only person who can stand up for yourself. And I think books that show us that, tell us that, they're very meaningful. And I really wish I had written that kind of book. Also, I think Levels of Flying, Julian Barnes, about grief. Yeah, I wish I could write like
Mhm. Pen and paper, mobile phone, or laptop? What's your
laptop.
you don't do first drafts on pen and paper, etc.
Never pen and paper. If you saw my handwriting, you'll understand why. Even I can't read what I've written. And on phone, I do send myself some reminders, like if I see a book that I want to read. Like Gina Twimpson's new book, The Night Side of the River. I saw it. Somebody told me about it. Immediately, I made a note on my phone. So, or even sentences that come to me or references that come to me, I would put it on my phone. But writing is on the laptop, and I type very well. I actually took typewriting classes, so I don't need to look at my laptop when I'm typing. I'm a fast typist.
Mhm. Good, good. So that was fun, Shiny. And I think we have some questions from the audience.
We do.
Yeah, just a second. Wow. I'm just going to read. Hang on. This is on. You're saying I'm a fast typist. Hang on. I'll just read it out. Alia says, I want to know, do you approach writing about complex emotions and relationships in your work?
I think I do.
Yeah, we talked about that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I think I do.
Shreya's asking, are there platforms where budding writers can get valuable feedback? Yeah, this one.
Yeah. So you should attend LitMart, because when other people's manuscripts are being discussed by professionals in publishing houses, I think you will get a little bit of feedback on what it should be. And you should attend maybe a couple of creative writing workshops so that um, where you are stuck. See, writing cannot be taught. It's not like a blood transfusion that somebody can just plug into you and make you a writer. But I think it's nice to attend these kind of workshops, and I regret that I didn't have them when I was growing up. Writing itself was not considered anything like a profession or anything past a hobby. So yeah, I think it would be nice to attend a creative workshop and know what are your problem areas. Where are you underconfident?
Yeah. So just for the audience, InkShots does creative writing workshops, and we'll let you know when the next one is.
Oh,
Uh,
great! Let me also know.
sure, sure. You'll be the guest. Last time, I think when we did Rupa Pai had
Yes.
come as a guest.
Okay. Yeah.
Siddhi Dubey asks, do you believe social media has impacted the way writers tell stories?
So I'm not really the right generation to speak about it because I avoid social media quite a lot. Dipti, I'm only on Twitter and I put on rubbish on Twitter. And the links to my own, if I've written something or I'm doing something, is basically like a self-centered platform for me. But I do know that the Instagram captions and everything, they are another genre altogether. So social media language is another genre, and I
Yeah.
have not been born to it, and not yet come into it properly for me to have like a coherent comment on that.
Mhm. Aditya says, congratulations on the success of BLF. I love to attend it. Want to know if the sessions are live streamed for those outside the city.
We don't live stream them, but within a week or so, you get the YouTube videos. They are available on the BLF
On the
website.
BLF website?
Yeah,
Okay.
YouTube. So you just have to put in, you go through the schedule. If there's something that you really liked and you couldn't attend, just put the name of that session, just put the session title and Bangalore Literature Festival, and you'll get it very
Okay.
soon.
But why don't you all live stream it?
I think because we record it and we put it out on YouTube,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm. Naman says, hello, Shinie. I once attended your short story writing session and loved the exercises you gave us, especially thinking of about anecdotes from our life and childhood. As new writers, how much should we rely on our own experiences rather than, write?
Yeah. So I feel a naked stealing of your own life may not work. We don't straight away pick something from our own life and write, because then it would become like an autobiography or a memoir, non-fiction slice of life. But I challenge anybody to have written something that they did not understand or have empathy with. So it's not like we're consciously thinking that I'm putting myself into this. But then I've always felt if I'm writing a story and there are four characters in it, I'm not just the protagonist. I'm also the chai wali who's coming and delivering chai there. So I need to think for so many people. And how do I do that? I have to identify with most of them, right? So I do feel that we do dip into our own stories much more than we think, because that's our reference point, us, our lives, our narrative, what's happened to me, what am I thinking, what's my thought on this, and what's my view on that. There's no getting away from yourself when it comes to writing. In fact, you come you come face to face with the real you when you're writing.
That's true. Yeah. So I think that's about it. And thank you so much, Shinie. I mean,
Thank you, Dipti. Thank you for making me do this, because I told you I'm very nervous doing these things
not at
and
all.
talking. And
And
okay,
you were not well also today, so thank you so much for doing this and not canceling it. And
I would
thank
never
you
do
to
that to you.
everybody who attended this today and loved your questions, loved the interactions. And we will be back again with another guest, and we'll let you know soon. And a big shout out to the Thinkly team for organizing this so beautifully. So have a great evening. Bye bye.
Thank you.
You. Bye.